Good afternoon and welcome inside another edition of That's What I Think with Brandon Swanson. I'm your fearless host, Brandon Swanson, and I'm back. Finally, after multiple weeks of not being here, I'm back, and I'm happy to be back. Really excited to be talking with you guys again. It's really felt like a long time. Haven't been on the Primetime Podcast in a couple of weeks, but I'm still there. They haven't fired me. I'm not on suspension. I haven't done anything wrong, which is nice. You know, it's nice that when you're not on, it's not because you did something bad. It's just schedules haven't worked out. Unfortunate, but we'll be back next week. Also, this video is going to be somewhat similar to something that my colleagues, Ricky and Sean, talked about as well earlier this week. They talked about Robinson Cano as well, and that's somewhere above my head in a corner up here. So make sure you check that out, but not before you listen to what I have to say about Mr. Cano. So, cat's out of the bag. That's what I'm talking about this week. Robinson Cano has been taken down for PEDs, and he's the biggest name to be taken down since Ryan Braun and Alex Rodriguez. So what was it that brought down the $300 million man Robinson Cano? Well, it was furosemide, a masking agent that dilutes urine samples. So Cano states, and he holds firm to this, that he was not trying to cheat at all. He didn't take the drug to do that, but rather it was prescribed to him by a Dominican doctor that was helping him to treat an ailment. My question would then be, if that is the case, which truly we don't fully know, but if that is the case, my question is, why are you not talking with other doctors or team physicians here in the United States to make sure that what is going into your body, this furosemide, is okay for you? And if it's not okay for you, if that's going to show up on a drug test, if that could possibly put you in some sort of trouble, to not do it. Why are you not talking to the right people, to these team officials, to make sure that what you're putting into your body, especially with you being one of the biggest names out there, with you being one of the best players on the team, why you're not doing that? That to me blows my mind. It makes no sense. As SB Nation stated in one of their articles, Cano can fall under one of two categories, or he could fall under both. So the first one would be in the suspicious category for what he's done, especially because if you think back to the situation that he was involved in 2012, when this was going on as well, which at that point he was playing for the New York Yankees. And people certainly remember what happened with him then and the suspicions that people brought up at that point. Or he could fall in, he could fall in the holy crap section as the Ryan Brauns and the Alex Rodriguez's to a, I think, lesser extent. We were more surprised, I think, at Ryan Braun than we ever were with Alex Rodriguez, because Alex Rodriguez, he just sniffed like he was a cheater, in my opinion. So Cano was never a top prospect. He was never a sought-after minor league player. And I understand you don't have to be to then go and have a great career and be a good player. You absolutely do not have to at all. You can be underrated. You can be a surprise. That's okay. I'm not saying it's not. But to come onto the scene so quickly with such force and then to never drop off, that can bring up some questions. You know, again, Cano goes from a small-time player, small-time minor leaguer, to then being an MVP caliber player, receiving MVP votes in year 2. So he goes from basically a nobody to a somebody overnight, or in this case, in 2 years of being a professional ball player. And again, that doesn't mean that it can't happen. It can. There's a number of stories where it does. But in today's baseball, people are always going to ask the question, unfortunately, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but they're going to ask the question, how did it happen? Are you that good? Or something helping to make you that good? Again, remember, Cano batted in his second season, I believe, 342. 342. One would like to believe, again, that that's just because he's a good player, but my cynical side can't just think that way. It can't just think that way. Again, Cano was not and has not ever been an often injured player. Now, that's great. For a good part, that's luck. For a lot of these players, it's luck. If you have not been injured, if you have not had a bad injury, if you had not gone through, 162 games, and so many people in baseball, around baseball, will talk, it needs to be less than 162 games. It's just too long of a season. But for 162 games, to hardly miss any of those games with some sort of injury or some sort of rest or this or that or the other thing, that's no longer just luck, in my opinion. There's something else there. And again, you could just be taking really good care of your body. I get that. But 162 games, to go from when you began to pretty much playing all 162 games, and it taking a decade later to when you get smoked in the hand, your hand breaks, you're out 6 to 8 weeks, and then all of this comes out, all of this happens. It's like that perfect situation, not perfect for Cano, but where everything comes together, and now we go, And now, unfortunately, for Robinson Cano, everything, his entire career is being put into perspective of, did he play it by himself, or was there always another factor helping him? Cano's been to 8 All-Star games, and he's made $300 million. That's nice. That's really, really nice. And he was well on his way to Cooperstown, which, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Ricky Widmer and Sean Anderson talked about that, and check out that video where they really talk about Cooperstown with him and his Hall of Fame legacy and everything that goes with that. But now he's going to be in the group with Mark McGwire. He's going to be in the group with Barry Bonds, that when their names come up, it's not an automatic anymore. It's not that you have the numbers, you have the stats, but you have the cloud of doubt over your name and those stats. And that's a shame. Yes, it is hard as hell to compete with the top talent at the top level, but PEDs are in no way the answer, and they never will be. Even though people will continue to do them, people will continue to get by and cheat the system, but every once in a while there will be that person that doesn't. And then, is it worth it? Was it worth it? Everything that you put in to try and get there, all a sham at the end of the day. Melky Cabrera and Alex Rodriguez are fairly recent examples of guys on their way to either big paydays. In Melky Cabrera's situation, it was an $80 million payday that he was almost going to get, or maintaining a godlike status in the baseball realm, and that was Alex Rodriguez. They throw their image away and a big payday by using performance-enhancing drugs. And now have they both come back? Yes, Melky Cabrera obviously came back to baseball. I love Melky. I think he's a great player. He's a fun player. He played for my favorite team, the Chicago White Sox, but there's always going to be the cloud with him. That always will follow him. And Alex Rodriguez has found himself a wonderful gig as a baseball broadcaster on Fox. I think that he would truly be, a great manager one day. I think he knows what he's talking about. He's a smart player, but not when it came to PEDs and performance-enhancing drugs and trying to get away with that. Certainly not smart at all. But those are two fairly recent examples of how things were going your way, and then they no longer are. And it takes just one time to do it. It takes just one time to do it, one time to inject yourself, and 8 All-Star games in Robinson Cano's case, and $300 million, it could just be all gone. And now I know it's hard for someone to be like, Brandon, you can't say it's all gone. No, it's not, but people will look on that. Some people in the baseball community and outside of the baseball community will look at that and they will go, cheater. Cheater. It doesn't matter that he had 8 All-Star games. It doesn't matter he got $300 million. He did it and he cheated. He got it because he had an advantage over everybody else. And there will be people on the other side of the argument that say, no, he didn't. He didn't cheat. He's not a cheater. That was, it was all a misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. There will be people on both sides. There always will. There are many young kids out there, though, who will see the fame, who will see the money, and be totally fine with doing anything that it takes to achieve that, no matter what the cost. But cheating, let me tell you, will never be the answer. Absolutely never be the answer. Robinson Cano, unfortunately, isn't the first, but also, unfortunately, will not be the last. Robinson Cano is now in a group of guys who have really good numbers, have really great stats, have a lot of great attributes, accolades, but now, with his 80-game suspension, which he'll start serving and has started serving while he's injured, can't play in the AllStar Game, of course, couldn't play in the playoffs if the Mariners were to get there, is not part of that. All these question marks, that's what comes with Robinson Cano. That's what you put at the end of Robinson Cano's name after you're done saying everything about him. It's a big question mark that wonders, did he do it all on his own? Did he really? And was it worth it in the end? No. I'm going to say no every single time. It's not. And again, whether you did it on purpose to cheat or you didn't, you weren't smart enough. You weren't smart enough to know better, to know the right way to go about doing it. In terms of if you really are trying to help an ailment, you weren't smart enough on how to go about doing it and doing it the right way. And again, for any kids out there or anybody, I mean, we all know cheating's not going to work. Maybe for a couple of years, it'll feel good at the beginning, but at the end, all you have is emptiness, and that's never good. And for Robinson Cano, like I said, all he's got are question marks for the rest of his career. And that's what I think this week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Again, go and check out the video that Ricky and Sean did talking about Robinson Cano and his Hall of Fame career, how that could be affected, his chances at Cooperstown, which I definitely think will be affected big time now. Again, thank you so much for watching. It was really nice to be back with you guys, in front of you guys, talking to you guys again. We'll be back again next week, same time, same place, 2 Central, 3 Eastern, and 12 Pacific. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. So long.